Good morning, everyone, and welcome to class number 3 of OLC4O, Term 1B. I'm your instructor, Mike Laverty, and these are our morning announcements. So we're still in the first week of classes. We have 4 classes every week. We don't meet on Fridays. There will be no classes, so I double-checked my schedule this morning. So from December 26th to January 5th, we are going to break for the Christmas holidays. So we would typically have 8 classes during those 2 weeks, but since it's our Christmas break, there will be no classes. And then we'll start back up the following week. And our last day of class is January 26, 2023 for Term 1B. So I know that many people are starting to watch the YouTube videos, and I can see the views starting to tick up, and that's great. I love to see people watching on YouTube. And hopefully, as the term progresses, we'll have more people tuning in live, making these sessions a little bit more interactive. I don't mind at all doing them this way, but I would love to have some people phone in with a question or just contribute an idea, talk about an assignment they're working on. That'd be fantastic. And if that's going to happen, this is the way you're going to do it, by phoning into the studio or just by listening. And then, of course, if you're logging in through Zoom, you can log in and raise your hand and ask questions that way. So we have 2 videos up on the YouTube right now. I will have 3 as of this afternoon. All you have to do is search for Laverty Wassa. You put that into the search button right here, and you will find my channel. And I'll also start posting these videos on Facebook as well. But you'll log in. Sorry, you don't have to log in. You just search for Laverty Wassa in the search button. And if you go to my home screen, you'll see the home, videos. And the playlists are really helpful because I have playlists for every chorus that I teach, and I divide every chorus into units. So everything for Unit 1 is going to be placed in a playlist for this chorus. Here's how you can submit work. And again, I mentioned this yesterday. It's important to just get something out there. You don't have to complete an entire lesson or an entire unit. All you have to do is give me one assignment, and I don't mind doing that. I don't mind marking one assignment, getting it back to you. So please feel free to submit as much or as little work as you can do. The important thing is just to get started. Here's how you can reach me. I've added something from yesterday, so right down here. If you want to phone the Wassa office and you don't want to pay long distance charges, so I didn't realize that until I was listening to another teacher's broadcast. So that number at the bottom is a toll-free long-distance number. So it's free. It's not going to charge you anything. So if you want to phone me and you're not in the Sioux Lookout area, which most of you are not, you want to phone that toll-free number. These are the times when you want to phone me, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's when you want to phone my office. If you don't get me, please leave me a voicemail with your contact information. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And your next steps, really important to contact me and your other Wassa teachers. So if you're registered in a chorus other than mine, it's really important you reach out to your teacher and just say, hey, I'm out here. I have my course material. So we need to know that you have the course material and that you're able to get started, you don't have any questions, and you're able to just work on your own, and you're good to go. So we just need that assurance, and if there is a problem, then we want to make sure that our team of people is on top of it, and we get you the material you need, and we answer your questions. So there's a great team at Wassa. They're here to answer your questions. And number 2, I want you to make a plan for completing assignment 1. So we're still in week 1, but I want you to be at least looking at assignment 1, making a plan, starting to think about how you're going to attack that assignment, what approach you're going to take. And I'd like you to go back to class 1 and class 2 if you can, and review our lesson on the writing process. And we're going to keep doing the writing process today. So we are in class number 3 of Unit 1, Lesson 1. Today is going to be our last class where we talk about Lesson 1, and we will dive into assignments 1, 2, and 3. So today's lesson, we will talk about the words of the day. We're going to keep talking about the parts of speech. We'll give you today's headline. We're going to talk about adjectives. We're going to start getting into sentence structure. We're going to talk about subject and predicate. We're going to look at lesson 2, assignment 2. Sorry, that's a mistake. We're not jumping ahead. We're still on lesson 1. We're going to go back and revisit lesson 1, assignment 2, and we're going to talk about assignments 3 through 5 in lesson 1. So today's word of the day is respect, and as per usual, we'll talk about this word in 2 languages, English and Anishinaabemowin or Ojibwe. So the word in English is respect, which is a translation of, let me see here, Minadendamowen, which is respect, and the 7th grandfather teaching is to honor all of creation, is to have respect. Honor all of creation. Key word there. And so a little bit of a further explanation on that, again, provided from our great people at the 7 Generations Education Institute. This concept means to go easy on one another and all of creation. And the word is broken up into 3 parts. The first part means to go easy on someone. ED means in a reciprocal way, and win means a way it is done. So we've seen these 2 components of the word in the previous word of the day from yesterday. So I really think it's fascinating how this language has ideas contained within one word. And most words are like that. Most words they're like a combination of several ideas that have been kind of welded together to make a larger idea, and they all work together. So that word reciprocal is really important here, right, too? So the concept of love mentioned a reciprocal, and reciprocal means, it goes both ways. So, and I think respect is kind of like love too. It kind of goes both ways. You expect people to respect you and your decisions, but they also expect that of you. So it has to go both ways. And to go easy on someone, I guess in this context means to sort of, respect what they're doing, respect who they are as a person, and they want to respect you, who you are and who you are as a person. So you might want to use this for assignment 1. Remember, going back to assignment 1, you're asked to look at the 7 grandfather teachings and to talk about what they mean to you in your life, what they've meant to you in the past, what they mean to you now, what they may mean to you in the future. So we've talked about wisdom, love, and now respect. And of course, in English, respect can be a noun or it can be a verb. So I've given you 2 definitions of respect. The first one is esteem for or a sense of the worth or excellence of a person, a quality, ability, etc. So, when we esteem something, we hold it in high value. To have self-esteem means to have a high value of yourself. And when we talk about someone with low self-esteem, that means that they don't see their own worth or their own excellence. They don't see their own abilities. Even though they're there, they don't see them. So I have great respect for her judgment, right? So respect in this sense is an idea, right? It's like a concept or a thing. It also means relation or reference. So inquiries with respect to a root. It just means you're referencing something. There's a relationship to something. So I had a bunch of inquiries. I had a bunch of questions, and my questions were about a root. So in that sense, the word respect really means the word about. It's very similar, right? And respect can be a noun. It's something you can do. So I cannot respect a cheat or a cheater. So that's something I cannot do. I can't respect them. I can't hold them with a sense of worth or excellence, right? So it's kind of like love. Love is something you can do, but love is also a thing. We'll go back, and instead of this time going through the 9 parts of speech, I'm going to skip ahead to my page right here. So I've got the 9 parts of speech, and I want all of the students taking this class to get to a point where you know what these are, you understand what they are without having to look them up. It takes a bit of time, and I think it's really important to mention again that you know all of them because you use them all the time. Children as young as 2 or 3 are using these 9 parts of speech all the time. They know what they are. You can't go to a kindergarten classroom and say, you know, what's a conjunction? What's a preposition? Unless that kid's really smart, but they're not going to know what it is, but they will use it all the time. So innately, you know, in the core of them, of their beings, they know what these things are because they use them all the time. So we just need to give them a name. And it just helps to do that over and over again. So we're going to go, I'll use myself, right? So Mike, I'm a noun, right? I'm a special kind of noun. I'm a proper noun because I'm a specific person. So I'm always capitalized. So Mike, the verb will be is. So remember the word is it's a state of being, but it is a verb, right? So Mike is, we'll say teaching. And then a pronoun what could be his. So remember, pronouns always refer back to a noun. So I can say, my name is Mike. This is my class. So my would be the pronoun. But in this case, the pronoun always has to have a noun that it's attached to, right? In this case, it's Mike, right? So Mike is teaching his, and then we'll do, Mike is teaching his, hope this is not too confusing. Mike is teaching his class, and then we could say his English can be an adjective because it describes the class, right? So it's the type of class that Mike is teaching his English class in. We could say in. An article is in the, in the morning. Yeah, this is not going to work. I'm running out of room, so this doesn't really work. But maybe we can add some words in here, right? So Mike is teaching his English class in the. We'll just add a verb or another noun, morning. So that could be a sentence. Hopefully I'm teaching it well. So an adverb could be, well or expertly. Hopefully I'm teaching my class expertly. So that's how you're doing something. So well and expertly. This is these would be attached to the verb teaching, right? So adverbs always have to refer back to a verb. It tells us how a verb is being done. The adjective English. So adjectives, again, they always refer back to a noun. So in this case, the adjective English is referring back to a class. It's the kind of class that I'm teaching. And conjunctions can be words like and, but, yet. They are connecting words. So you could say Mike is teaching his English class expertly in the morning, and in the afternoon he is going to mark some papers. Interjections could be like wow, O, things like that. Interjections usually have an exclamation mark on the end of them, okay? So these are our 9 parts of speech. And to get us to learn them, we're going to keep looking at articles of the day, okay? So today's headline, this one is from Wawate News. And the headline reads, Indigenous Organization Celebrates Grand Opening of Multiple Services and Health Center. This is in Kirkland Lake. Back on September 22nd, they opened up a new health center, okay? And we're going to break down that headline. It's also important to note that some newspaper headlines, they're not really written as complete sentences. So a newspaper headline or a website headline has its own kind of grammar and syntax, and they don't always follow the rules of a complete sentence. A lot of them do. I think this one would qualify as a complete sentence. So Indigenous Organization Celebrates Grand Opening of Multiple Services and Health Center. So the word Indigenous could be a noun, it could be a thing. In this case, it's an adjective. And the adjective is, so it's an organization, but what kind of organization? It's an indigenous organization. So this adjective is modifying that noun, right? Adjectives and nouns are always grouped together. The adjective has to be describing something. You know, it's a rainy day. It's rainy outside. You know, I have red shoes, right? You wouldn't just say I have red. You know, or you wouldn't just say this is rough. You know, what's rough, right? It's the adjective has to be attached to something. It's describing. It's a descriptive word. It doesn't really function on its own. It has to be attached to something else. Now, what did this organization do? They celebrate, or in this case, they celebrates, right? So the verb, and again, the verb is usually attached to a noun too, right? So who's celebrating? This organization is. So that's a verb. And you see that pair again, that adjective noun pair. So it's an opening, which is a thing, but what kind of opening? It's a grand opening. So the word grand is an adjective that modifies the word opening. Of is a preposition. It tells us a relationship. So the grand opening of, and again, so you've got that pair 3 times. They're opening services, but not just, they're opening multiple services, which you could kind of argue is a bit redundant because services is already plural, so we know they're opening more than one service, but for whatever reason, the person who wrote the headline chose that word multiple, and it's an adjective, and it modifies the word services. And is a conjunction. It joins this and this. So the word and is joining these 2 things. And a health center. And a health center in this case is a proper noun because health and center are capitalized, and we're talking about a specific health center that's mentioned in the article itself. All right, moving right along. So every day I want to talk about one part of speech, and today we're going to talk about an adjective. So it modifies or describes a noun or a pronoun. So that's really important, right? So the noun, it describes or it modifies. So sometimes it's not describing, it actually changes how we think about that noun or pronoun. There's several types of adjectives. We don't have time to go through all of them. I thought these are probably the most common you're going to come along or you're going to encounter in your reading and your writing. We have a comparative adjective, so really important concept in the language. I've given 3 examples: bigger, stronger, faster. They usually have that ER at the end, right? My car is faster than yours. Okay, that's a comparative adjective. What are we comparing? We're comparing my car and your car. And my car is faster. And then we have the superlative adjective. And in the word superlative, we have the word super, right? And the word super literally means like the best, right? Superman is the best man ever, right? If something is super, it's above everything, it's greater than everything. So a superlative adjective means something is the best of something. It's the biggest, it's the strongest, it's the fastest. By definition, nothing can be faster, nothing can be stronger, okay? Your dog is the biggest one. Okay, so that's a superlative adjective, right? So it's modifying dog, right? So the biggest dog. Faster modifies car. The adjective always references back to something else, right? Something, a noun. And then we have demonstrative adjectives. These are this, that, those, etc. This, that, and those aren't the only ones, but they are the most common. So this phone is better than that one, right? So we've got this phone is better than that one. One in that sense could be seen as a pronoun that stands in for phone, right? So, or we could say this phone is better than your phone if we wanted to, right? But in this case, the word this is an adjective, and it's modifying. It's not really so. In this case, in the comparative and the superlative, they are describing a noun. They're giving us information about a noun, but they are describing a noun. In these cases, that they're modifying a noun. They're not really giving us a description of the noun. They're sort of modifying it and telling us where it stands in relationship to a different noun. You can't make a comparison unless you've got at least two things to compare. And then I want to start breaking down what a sentence is. So most people, if you ask them what a sentence is, they say, well, it's a complete idea, or it's a thought, or it's a little part of speech, or, but a sentence really is broken up into clauses. So a clause is something that has a subject and a predicate, right? So we're talking about clauses right here, right? So, and a clause is a subject plus a predicate, okay? And clauses we call these the building blocks. The building blocks of sentences. A sentence can have one or more clauses. It's got to have at least one, but it's going to have more than one. So, and then a lot of legal contracts are made up of clauses. You've got the famous Tim Allen movie, The Santa Claus. And if you've watched the movie, the Santa Claus is a chunk of writing that describes how he has to become Santa Claus, but it means the same thing. So writing is made up of these building blocks, right? And you can't build a clause unless you've got a subject and a predicate. And the subject is the person, place, or thing the sentence is about. And if we look at that definition, person, place, or thing, the first thing that should come to mind is the word noun, because that's the definition of a noun. A noun is something that names a person, a place, or a thing. So sentences are, 99% of the time, they're about someone or something. We're expressing a thought or an idea about someone or something. That's arguably the whole point of language, right? To tell something about something. And the predicate is what is said about the subject. A predicate includes a verb. All right? So that's really important, okay? So we're talking about something, and that something did something. That's, that's kind of English language at its most basic core, right? And let's get an example of that, right? So looking at our headline from today, Indigenous organization celebrates grand opening of multiple services and health center. So have a look at that sentence and ask yourself, what is the subject? What is the predicate of that sentence? What is the subject? So this sentence is about, so when we ask ourselves, what is this sentence about? It is about a lot of things. It's about an Indigenous organization. It's about celebration. It's about a grand opening. It's about services, and it's about a health center. But when we answer the question, what is the subject, we have to go back to the root and say, what's the most important thing in this sentence? What is the subject? And the subject is the Indigenous organization. They're the most important thing in this sentence. Everything else happens to them, for them, or by them, right? So they're the most important thing. They are the subject of my sentence. And of course, the predicate is what is said about the subject. So what is said about the subject or what they did? Or what they did, or what they're doing, or what they did do, what they're going to do. So what did they do? They celebrate a grand opening of multiple services and healthcare center. And of course, our verb celebrates is right there. So that is a sentence broken up into a subject and a predicate. And that's a complete sentence. A complete sentence has a subject and a predicate. And we're going to talk about clauses later, not today, maybe tomorrow, next week. And there are main clauses and there are subordinate clauses. Okay, let's do this for about 10 minutes and then we'll finish off with the writing assignment. So here's one of my favorite writers of all time, Malcolm Gladwell. One of my sons, his name is Malcolm. And I've read a lot of this guy's books. I love them. This one's called Talking to Strangers, What We Should Know About the People We Don't Know. And in this book, he gives multiple examples about how humans are really bad at overestimating their own abilities and underestimating the abilities of other people. So humans are really bad at understanding themselves and knowing where they need to improve themselves, knowing their own limitations, and knowing what they're good at. So our brains, for whatever reason, are really good at convincing ourselves that we're a lot better than we really are, and we're really good at convincing ourselves that other people are not as good as they really are. Some people say it's a survival mechanism. It helps you get through the day. But books like this, I love books like this, books that deal with psychology, things like that. They really help you understand your own brain, and it just leads into the discussion in assignment 3. So in assignment 3, you're asked to do a survey, My Communication Skills. You're supposed to complete the skills survey by circling a number in each line. And I want you to be honest with yourself, okay, with your responses. This survey is to help you succeed. And there are no wrong answers here. There's literally no wrong answer. It really, I'm not grading this because I don't know who you are. I can't grade you on, choosing a wrong answer. You just have to be honest, okay? So to complete the assignment, you have to indicate how important you feel each skill is to you at the moment, right now, by choosing and circling the appropriate number on the right. So for me, oral communication skills, following instructions, I'm gonna go with a 4. I don't really get many instructions in my line of work, so that's not really that important to me. Listening skills, I'm gonna give that a 2. Conversational skills, I'm gonna give that as a 3. Giving feedback is very important to me. I need to be excellent at giving feedback. It's very important to me to give feedback to my students and to other people in my life. So when I answer this question, I'm thinking about myself as a teacher. Communicating with the public, that's a 1. Remember, very important on this side, not so important on this side. Conflict resolution, that's important to me. That's a 2. Negotiation skills, I'm going to do a 4. I'm not doing much negotiation right now. Interview skills, I'll give it I hesitate to give it a 5, but I'm going to give it a 4. I'm not interviewing anybody right now. It's not that important to me. So when you answer these, think about where you are at this moment in your life as a student, as a parent, as a worker, as a husband, as a wife, as a whatever, right? Just think about who you are right now and answer those questions. And all you have to do is circle it. That's all you got to do. For assignment 4, you are talking about temperament. So we're trying to figure out who we are as a person. So for this assignment, all you have to do is highlight. You can circle or check the description that describes you most often. Do this for every pair of bullet points. Okay, so most often is really important, right? So we are different people from day to day. We're different people in the morning than we are when we go to bed at night. Humans are volatile. We change. We get better. We get worse. We improve. We yell at each other. We forgive each other, right? We're organized over here. We're disorganized over there. But who are you most often? All right, and do this for every pair of bullet points. And then finally, for each category, you have to identify the kind of person you are. You've got to pick one or the other. So I'll do this for me, okay? I'm going to do this live. What kind of information do you naturally notice and remember? So in this category, people are broken down into 2 main categories. People are either sensors or they're intuitives. All right. Focus on details and specific. Focus on the big picture and possibilities. Check. That's me right there. Admire practical solutions. Admire creative ideas. Creative ideas. Notice details and remember facts. Notice anything new or different. New or different. Are pragmatic, see what is. Are inventive, see what could be. That's starting to see a pattern here. Live in the here and now. Think about future implications. I would go live in the here and now. Trust actual experience. Trust their gut instincts. I would go with my gut instinct. Like to use established skills. Prefer to learn new skills. I'm over here. Like step-by-step instructions. Like to figure things out for themselves. That one is kind of a toss-up for me. It depends on the situation, but I'm going to go with that one. Work at a steady pace. Work in bursts of energy. Absolutely work in bursts of energy. So as you see, I am overwhelmingly in the intuitive column. I've only got 2 in the sensor. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the intuitive. So I would say, according to this survey, that I would find myself in the intuitive category. So that's all you have to do. Put a check mark beside the one you identify with the most often. And then if you have a tie, if you've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 9, so you shouldn't have a tie. So you can't tie on this one. You're going to have more than one. I think they must have done that on purpose, right? So you're going to have more check marks on one side. And that's your answer. That's who you are. And then we have the journal entry about me. But we didn't really get a chance yesterday to talk about slide deck number 2. So we're gonna go into that, and we're really going to whoops. Nope. That's not the one I wanted. I want slide deck number 2. Okay. And we didn't really get a chance to talk about the writing assignment. So assignment 2 is similar to assignment 1 in terms of its structure and how it's laid out. Assignment 2 is asking you to write a little bit more than you wrote in assignment 1. We're looking for 2/3 of a page to 1 page of writing. Again, if you're writing with a pen and paper, your handwriting is going to be probably neater and smaller than my handwriting. I write really big and really messy. That's why I usually type my assignments. So that's why it's important to count words, okay? So for assignment of this nature, I'm looking for 200 to 300 words. That's what I want to see for your rough copy and your final copy, right? So your rough copies might have less words. Your rough copy might have more words than your final copy. Some editors and some people who edit things and they take material, they actually encourage their writers to write too much. It's like, I want you to write a 1,000 word article or whatever, and then they'll write 1,200 words or 1,100 words, and then they'll cut back the extra stuff. So you find as a writer, it's a lot easier to write too much and just add way too much detail and just put way too much stuff on the page and then cut it back. It's a lot easier to do that than to work up to a deadline, right? So it's much easier, I find, to just write too much and to maybe be repetitive and just maybe say the same thing 3 different ways and then find the best way. For me personally, I think that's a way better way to write. So your rough copy is worth 10 marks. Your final copy is worth 10 marks. Your submitted assignment will be 2 to 3 paragraphs, okay? 2 to 3 paragraphs about growing up in your community with your family. So I want at least 2 paragraphs, okay? And we're going to talk a bit about how to organize your paragraphs, okay? So we want to, again, employ that 5-step writing process. We want to plan, and when we plan out, we're typically doing an outline of some nature, or we're brainstorming, right? And when we're writing, we are free writing and just, regular writing. So free writing is when we don't allow ourselves to stop writing. It's this explosive sort of writing. It's spontaneous. It's just let the words fly. And then writing is like sitting down patiently, just thinking about the words, letting them come, not setting a timer, just taking your time. They're very different processes. Revising is, this is big, or big's a bad word. Let's say top level. This is organization. And then when we edit, I would say that's bottom level. Sentence and words, right? To use maybe a metaphor from like filmmaking, revising is the far away shot, and editing is the zoom up. It's the really up close, nitty gritty kind of stuff. Okay. So here's our plan for completing assignment 2. We're in step 1 of the writing process. We're planning. I want you to think about growing up in your community. I want you to write down a list that contains as many memories and moments you can remember. This can be point form or in full sentences. So, if you've ever read a biography or any story about somebody's life growing up in a particular place or community, it's usually memories and moments, right? It's sort of like if someone's going to make a movie about your life, or if someone's going to write a book about your life, it's going to be composed of moments in your life and memories and scenes, right? So we're thinking about scenes here, right? And scenes are made up of characters. That's you, right? Or your brothers and sisters. There's characters, there's action, right? What kind of movie is it? Is it a comedy? Is it a tragedy? Is it an epic thriller? I don't know, but it's there's characters, there's action, there's going to be lines of dialogue. Where did it happen, right? So I want you to think about and write down memories and moments, and then I want you to pick your favorite ones. Try to pick your top 5. Once you've got your top 5, try to see, right here. Is there a general theme or a way you can connect them? That's really important, okay? So you want to generate your ideas, get them on the page, and then look at your ideas and be like, okay, there's sort of a connection here. Every memory I mentioned contains my grandma, or like every memory was like me being outside, or every memory had something that could connect it. Like you want to find a theme or some overarching idea that kind of puts them all together. So let's just say I'm going to call this my top 5 memories, all right? And I think about me growing up as a kid. I remember being a hockey player, and I stopped a penalty. I stopped a penalty shot in a game, right? And everybody cheered, and it's one of the moments that, made me want to be a goaltender. So stopping a penalty shot would be one for me. I would say, listening to my dad play guitar. That's a big memory for me. I'm going to go with playing the Super Nintendo with my brother Matt. That's a big one. How about checking the traps? My dad was a trapper, so checking the traps on the trap line. And then maybe I'll just see talking with my mom at night. We'd always hang out and play cards, me and her. So just for time's sake, I don't have time to give you my list of 10 and then cut it down, but that's sort of like 5 memories I have of growing up at home in my home community of Sioux Lookout, right? So I could also say, hockey tournaments with my buddies. Let's get a few more. Maybe being at camp. So that's all you're really doing, right? You're just making a list, and the things that come to you right away are probably going to be your most powerful memories or your most favorite ones, or what we're doing here is we're trying to find stuff that you can write about, and it's not going to be hard for you to write about it, right? So you need to just write down things, and then, so I've got my list here of my memories of growing up in my community. And I love to do the idea web. So let's try that again. And for the idea web, you're just gonna maybe just talk about one of these things and put it in the middle, and then just see what kind of associations you can think of. So I'm gonna go back and look at my list. So I've got well, I mean, I played hockey. I played hockey last night, and it's definitely a big part of me growing up. But I'm gonna go with my dad and my guitar, and I'm gonna do things like, you know, jamming to music, you know, learning how to tune it. Playing. I learned my grandpa's favorite Christmas carol, "Good King Wenceslas." Sorry, my grandpa's favorite carol, Christmas carol. And so, talk about almost breaking his guitar and him getting really mad at me. So what I'm doing here is so I've got that list of my top 5, and then I'm taking, you know, I'm taking some examples from that and breaking it down. So when I go back to my main theme, I've got, you know, a lot of it is hockey related. So hockey's a theme. Obviously, family's a theme, right? So all of these are about my family, not really about my friends. So yeah, so I mean, I might talk about music and my guitar. I might talk about my family. So step 2, when writing about our past, we can make our memories come alive by using the 5 senses. For example, I spent a lot of time at my local hockey rink, and when I think back, this is what comes to mind for me, okay? So these are our 5 senses. Some people actually argue that there's 6 senses, and the 6th sense is not seeing dead people. For anybody who's seen the movie The Sixth Sense, the 6th sense is your ability to sense where you are in the world. I think it's proprioception or some really hard to pronounce word like that, but it's your ability to sense where you are in the world, which is really important if you're a hockey player. But these are the 5 ones that most people are familiar with. We have sight, sound, touch, smell, and taste. So when I think about hockey, I thought about looking through the cage of my mask. I thought about the sound of the puck hitting the boards. Touch is the puck hitting my blocker on a penalty shot. Smell is the Zamboni cleaning the ice before a practice. There's nothing in the world that smells quite like that. And taste is orange slices after a tournament game, right? We would get these little McDonald's oranges and orange juice boxes, and that just, when I taste orange slices or when I taste orange juice, I'm back to being a little kid sitting in a dressing room, right? So when we write, we're going to look at the list of favorite memories and moments we generated in step 1, and then we're going to set a timer for at least 5 minutes. And I think you should try to build up to 15 minutes for this pattern. And then I want you to write at least 3 sentences for each one. Try to use the 5 senses to add details. If you can do that and still have time, write about the other items on your list. Don't stop and just keep the words flowing, okay? All right, so that's what's really important, right? Is let's remember Fry here. We're not sure if we've conquered writer's block or if we're just writing nonsense. We don't worry about nonsense. All we do is write and keep the writing flowing, okay? So we're going to go back, and we're going to go back to our list of top 5 memories, and I'm going to try to write 3 sentences about me stopping a penalty shot. I'm going to write about my hockey tournaments, and maybe I'll write 3 sentences about checking the trap lines, you know? And so in 5 minutes, I'll challenge myself, and I'll see if I can write 3 sentences about each one of those things, right? And then I'm going to see, and then once I've got some raw material, then I can shift into the revision phase. I can look at what I have, and I can try to mold it and change it and see what's happening here, right? I can see, and I can ask myself some questions, right? I can create a paragraph outline for my first sentence. So this is a good spot to leave off for today. When we come back tomorrow, we're going to be talking about taking our raw material and making that into a paragraph, right? Taking our sentences and making them into a paragraph. So thanks for tuning in today, and tomorrow we'll pick up on making paragraphs.